Hello everyone, welcome to Success Strategies. In this video, I will be teaching on the subject of habit. Do you know the concept of habit is fundamental to determining our success in our choosing career or in our choosing field? Habit is very fundamental. Habits are like atom, very minute, very small, but they crystallize together to form an important part of our lives. And this is very key. This is very important, determinant of success in a field of endeavor. Habits are very fundamental. While preparing for this teaching, I went through to check the meaning of habit as written by different dictionary, Longman Dictionary, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and the Oxford Dictionary. But the one that caught my attention the most was how Merriam-Webster defined the concept of habit. Listen to the definition according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Habit is a settled tendency or usual manner of behaviors, an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly incompletely involuntary. This definition captures my attention very well. Something that has become involuntary, something that has become, part of you, that you exhibit them unconsciously. I remember in basic biology, we were taught involuntary actions. An involuntary action is what you do unconsciously, what you do without even realizing that you do them, or without even preparing for them. For example, I can recall that sneezing is an involuntary action. You do it even when you're not ready for it. You do it unconsciously. You don't have to, prepare for it. And that is how our habits are. Our habits are the things that has culminated together, to translate to what we do. Habits are so fundamental, either good or bad habits. And that is why we must be careful. Good habits will lead you from where you want to go, from what you want to achieve, or from where you are now to where you are going, from point A to point B. And bad habits, on the contrary, will equally move you far away from what you want to achieve, from your point A to point B. In other words, when good habits are compounding, when they are compounding, when they are adding up, bad habits equally add up. But the difference is that why good habits is in the plus side, is in the positive side, bad habits becomes, on the negative side, giving you -1, -2, -3, and in that order. And that is why it is very important that we look at our habit. It is very important that we audit our habit per time. A study was carried out by Duke University in 2006. Listen to the outcome of this scientific research. The paper was published in 2006, and the findings of that paper is that 40% of actions people performed in a day were not actual decisions, but habit. This research work found out that 40% of actions people performed in a day were not actual decisions, they were a product of habit. In other words, what that research work, by implication, that research work meant that 40% of what people do in a day were not what they decided, but they are mere product of habit. In other words, where you are going, what you are doing by that day are product of habit. So, and that is why it is very important. Habit starts over time. Habits compound over time, either good or bad. So, and that is why we must learn to choose the good ones. Habits are difficult to form, especially the good ones. They are very difficult to form. And that is why somebody said that the chains of habits, they are too weak to be felt, but too strong to be broken. That statement is profound. Let me repeat the statement. The chains of habits are like chain, either good or bad. They are too weak to be felt. When you are developing an habit, you hardly feel it. You hardly feel it, especially if it's a negative one. You hardly feel it. But gradually, as you develop it, as it compounds, it becomes very hard for you to break away from. And that is why it is very important that we told towards the good ones. For example, those people who have addiction for different, kind of things. That addiction does not occur in a day. It compounds over time. And by the time they realize such bad habit, it has already become a chain. Though the chain is flexible, but it is difficult to break. It is difficult to break. So that is the reason why per day we need to sit down and look at the habits that we exhibit. We need to do an audit of the habits that we exhibit, such that our habits do not mar us. Our habit can either make us or mar us. So it is very important. Listen to what this man said, William James. He said, and I quote, "All our lives, so far it has definite form, is but a mass of habit." He said, all our lives, as long as it has definite form, it's a product of habit. That is according to William James. All our lives, as long as it has a definite form, the way we talk, what we do per time, these are definite forms of our lives. They are a product of habit. So it is very important. I want to challenge you to tool towards building a good habit. It is foundational to success. It is foundational to success. It's very important. As a student, you need to form good reading habits. You need to form good reading habits. You do not wait for exam to approach before you read. No, you do not wait for exam to approach before you practice. You know, study habits is very important. One of the reasons why some students fail is because they have poor study habits. You know, some attend classes, after attending the class, they end up putting down their notes until a test approach or an exam approach. Such will not earn you good grade. But if you cultivate good study habit, after a class, you go back to your notes, you read over and over again. When exam approaches, you only have little effort to make to pass your exam or to pass the test. So good study habits has a correlation with your grade as a student. So also in so also with people with career life, habits is very important. And individuals have habits, so is an organization and society. As an individual, the way we have habits, so is the organization, is an organization and the society. Little wonder why organizations with good habits are successful over those ones with bad habits. The same applies to societies that imbibes good habits. Societies that imbibe good habits usually lead over those ones with bad habits. That is why it must start at an individual level. If it starts at an individual level, it affects the family, it affects the organization, and it affects the society at large. So let us look at our habits, let us check our habits, let us audit our habits. Those ones we think will not take us from where we are now to where we want to be, to where we want to go, should be removed. It is very, very important. There are so many authors that have written books on the issue of on the concept of habit. We have Charles Duhigg, who is the author of The Power of Habit, and there is a popular author, James Clear, who wrote on Atomic Habits. So many people have carried out research on habit, and it has been found that habits has a correlation. It has something to do with success. Don't forget that we are looking at success strategies. Success in your individual life, success in your academic life, success in your career life, success in your business life. Very key. Let us look at the habits we form per time. Habits are powerful but changeable. Much as habits are very powerful, that when formed becomes difficult to change, they are still changeable. Habits are malleable. They are malleable. You can change them over time with a conscious and consistent effort. You can change habits. You can replace bad habits with a good one. It is very important. It is very important, and it is possible. Though it may take some time to do, but it is possible for you to change a bad habit and replace it, with a good habit, knowing fully well that the concept of habit has a relationship with success. So we've got to check the habits that are pulling us back, then we replace them with the good ones. Then habits are automatic. Remember, we talked about involuntary actions previously. Habits are automatic. Habits are like when they are fully formed, you exhibit them unconsciously. Habits are like, you know, when you have mastered to ride a bike or you have mastered to drive a car. When you have mastered to drive a car or you have mastered to ride a bike, by the time you enter into your car, you kickstart. You do not need to look at where the accelerator is. No, that will cause tragedy. You do not need to check where uh, the brake pedal is or where the clutch lever is, or you want to change your gear. You don't need to look at where the gear lever is. So is habit. When you have mastered an habit, you do them automatically, you do them unconsciously, you do them involuntarily, you do them with less effort. So that is why it is good to develop the right type of habit, because the moment you develop it, you know, you exhibit it unconsciously, you exhibit it effortlessly. It is very important, it is very key. Cravings drive habits. Our cravings is what drive habits. Yes, your cravings, what you crave for, what you always wanted to do, you know, your cravings, has a correlation with your habits. So it is your cravings that will drive your habit. What you have always wanted to do, what you test for, you know, drives the type of habits um, you will exhibit. For example, a student that wants to come out, let's say, with an A in a particular subject, will understand that preparing for the exam of that subject starts from day one. Though there may be, one reason or the other at the end of the day that may affect that grade. But a student who wants to come with A grade in a particular subject, for example, will start from the beginning. So also is the bad one. People who have indulgences, who have who have addictions, is born out of their craving. Is born out of their craving, and that is why it is very key for us to check the habits we exhibit per time. Habits are very important. They are very important. They are they are a determining factor, one of the determining factors of success. So today I challenge you to cultivate the right type of habit, replace the bad ones with good ones. It takes some number of days, I think about 23 days or so, I cannot recall now, that it takes when you do something consistently for about certain number of days. I think it's 23 or thereabout, I cannot recall now. It becomes an habit. So either good or bad, when you do it consistently for a certain number of days, you get used to it. So I want to challenge you today to sit down and look at your habits, audit your habits, look at the ones that are not taking you from where you are now to where you want to be, and replace them with the good ones. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.